of, uh, one party in particular that's been in power for the last majority for the last 40 years.
I think you could say it. You can go,
Okay, yeah, the Republican
it's
Party
okay.
has
Yeah, it's
been
okay.
chipping away at the clean election systems ever since.
Sure.
And we
Now-
have luckily kept it for far longer because it's its own commission here.
And it makes me wonder, why would the Republicans need to chip away at clean elections? What about the American Republican Party
Right?
in 2026?
the grand old party.
Why is it that they're the ones that feel that they need to get rid of the potential for clean candidates in the United States of America's democratic process? It's strange. I just can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
What could it possibly be?
I think it's because it's a huge elephant, and when you put your finger on it, you're either touching a trunk and thinking it's a snake, or you touch its leg and you think it's a tree.
Mm-hmm.
You touch its body, you think it's a wall.
Yeah.
All these different things because it's such a huge, the Koch organization actually calls it the Leviathan. Or Dark Money Rise of the Radical Right called it the Coctopus. That they have their
Careful.
money. They have their money in all the different aspects, and so they are well organized and well coordinated.
See, this is why you're the candidate, because I would have said that it's probably because the Republican Party has been slowly alienating and isolating most Americans through the media for the past 25 years, and they really don't have a prayer in winning an election that they don't cheat in.
Right? Well, see, that's
anymore.
And that's like when you pull on the tail and you go, ooh,
Fair enough, right?
That's a snake.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, what about all the all the money that is being pumped into all these special interest groups and organizations that used to be called ALECs, that were think tanks where they thought up of legislation that was pro-business and it sounded good, and then they would test bed them in different legislators to see what would pass, how did it work, and then when it did work, then they would go and propose it in all the other legislatures, as many as they can, because once they get it in to about like 38 states, the act system comes into play, and it becomes just this. It can become general law.
What is that?
So that's the neat thing about how I see that the founding fathers set up the states, because the states have powers and they can write their own laws and legislation. And so each state can be a test bed for how do we want to govern ourselves. Like Arizona's constitution starts out with consent of the governed comes from the people.
Oh.
And so we have, and like we're one of the few states that have a referendum program. But anyway, so we can test how we want to regulate things. And if it works well, other states could try it, or they do it their own way. And we have 50 states to do these different A/B testings. Is this legislation work or doesn't it? And so we get this neat little test beds. And then as it works, and then the best practices comes about of how do we legislate effectively and for the benefit of the most. And then as then that grows, and then once 38 states pass that legislation, it becomes an act, which it can become an act, and then it becomes federal law, and then it tells all the other states, this is best practices. This is how we should govern ourselves. This is what works best for most.
It's great.
Yeah. So, and I haven't seen that really work that way in a long time.
What's it going to take to get back there? To get there?
Well, I think that was the thing about Citizens United is in 2010 is that's when we stopped living in a representative democracy.
I would agree.
Yeah,
I think most folks would, and it's one of the many issues. And I don't mean to step on you. The more I've conversated with folks around the country, and especially in the last few years since the last election and everything, that there's been this an awakening is a dramatic term, but there's this unification of the middle, right? Where people are realizing that, you know, while very small, there might be little small issues where we are certainly miles apart, right? Between the not far right, far left, but I mean just the call it the almost far on each side. Yeah, huge differences in policy and culture issues and things. But aside from that 10%, we agree on most things.
Yes.
Most people agree on most things. And this is one of those things.
Yeah, it's just that small. It's those dividing wedges
Correct.
that break apart strong trees and cultures.
Yeah.
Is these small little niche issues. And then, also on that is up until even recently, Bernie Sanders, who is our most leftist, most, socialist politician in America, could have easily been elected to the conservative party of most European countries.
100%.
So our media and our
100%.
culture has shifted us so far right over the last 40 years that our most left is a lot of countries far right.
Mm-hmm.
So that really, I think, illustrates very well on how far right we have been pushed as the talking points of our culture and our media. As the consolidation of our media from, before Reagan was hundreds of thousands of entities were in control of all of our media, from magazines, newspapers, publishing, radio, TV. Now it's what, 5? It's like, like 90% is controlled by 5 people.
It's an interesting argument. I want to say first, it's important that the distinction is made, and I want to make a point. The words that you used there, where you said culture and media, because that's exactly what it is. It's not politics.
Nope.
It's not policy.
It's the talking points of the zeitgeist.
Culture and media.
Yeah.
It's media. I have been pointing the finger at Fox News. Again, not afraid to say it.
Fox commentary.
Fox. Well, but it's funny you say that, because I learned, and I want to get back. I'm going to get better at making notes. I'm going to get better at making notes as we do this. But I learned that you learn rules through life, you experience thing, and I'm sure some people can understand that either their uncle or their dad or their grandpa or whatever, taught you at some point that, when someone has to project something onto you, that person probably isn't that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like the guys that act like tough guys typically aren't. The guys that act like they're loaded typically aren't, right? But the guys that are loaded are the ones that are going to walk in with the hoodie and the shorts on, right? I've always found it interesting that of all of the major media networks, there's only one that has the word news watermarked on their screen 24 hours a day, because they got to keep reminding you, this is the news. It's Fox News. Now let's go to,
well, see, that's
a retired sheriff,
because Murdoch
and a
started
vape guy.
off in the tabloids.
Sure.
That's where he started off, and he never stopped.
Right.
It never changed.
He followed the money.
Yeah, and it was.
He followed the money. And good on him. He's a good businessman. He's
right.
Brilliant. He's brilliant. And just like I resist criticizing or hating on a lot of the right wing influencers and people that choose to take that side of the culture war, because it seems very profitable.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the audience is right there, and frankly, it seems like it's pretty easy to.
Well, it's also low hanging. It's the low hanging fruit.
It's low hanging fruit
because we like to talk about 3 main things. We like to talk about people, we like to talk about things, and we like to talk about ideas. And everybody can talk about people.
Yeah.
and then it becomes smaller of what kinds of things we can talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the new car, the new iPhone, the new whatever it is, or
Mm-hmm.
a piece of art or literature or music. And then you get into the ideas of how do we want to live in this world?
Yeah.
What would be the ideal situation for us to exist as humans on this rock, hurtling through space in an unreally remarkable galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And we are these self-aware organisms that can talk about our existence.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. And when something serious happens, it seems like we're always able to put these petty differences aside until it fades away, and then we kind of fall right back into our comfort zone. I was
That tribalism of
Yeah.
who's in our group, who's not,
Yeah.
and when there's something that threatens us all,
Mm-hmm.
then we tend to come together. Which I think we're getting to that place again, that we see that there are things that are threatening us all with gas prices,
Yeah.
inflation, groceries,
Yeah.
healthcare, where 60% of
Mhm.
the bankruptcies are healthcare induced. These are all things that are going to touch us all, or that have touched us all, but we haven't put it all together as people yet.
Yeah. And it's just become so normalized. The idea that there aren't um, protests every day, that there aren't people in the streets with torches and pitchforks over just healthcare alone.
Yeah.
Just healthcare alone. Because if we had the bar at a reasonable level, compared to the rest of civilized society on this earth, it's appalling
Yes, it is.
where this country is
Which is
with
really
the
interesting
overall health
because
of its people.
we made the rest of the industrialized world have their medicine
Yes.
the way they do, and we didn't do it to ourselves. But going back to the pitchforks and torches is
Please.
one of the 11 years ago on TED Talk, one of the patriotic millionaires talked about that very thing. 11 years ago, that all he saw was that there are the haves, or the have-yachts, and the have-nots. And we're getting to such great disparity between wealth and equality that revolutions have happened for less. It's got us so well trained with that we all have bread and circus for now.
Yeah.
That we keep doing our grindstone, we do our things, we're just trying to make ends meet and have our families and have a life and do the things we enjoy. As long as we get to have mine, it's okay.
Yeah.
But we're seeing the pressures where right now, if 67% of Americans don't have $400 in the bank. And if you do have $400 in the bank, by the end of the year, it's worth less than it was in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
We're in this really interesting place right now where we, the oligarchs have taken control because of Citizens United. We became an oligarchy. And we have the ability, this is the bifurcation point, is we can either set ourselves back on track or go places where we've seen what's happened before and they're not pretty or very lively.